All right. Thank you all for being here so much. My name is Greg Odell. I'm the president and CEO of Events DC. I know I've had the pleasure of meeting some of you, and we met last time about 45 days ago. So we're back. So we want to make sure that as we committed the first time, that we're going to make sure that we touch you often and early as possible. So we'll recap a little bit about what we did last time and what we've done since. But before we do that, I want to also introduce a couple of folks here tonight that are also going to be presenting and speaking to you and be available for questions. So first is Eric Moses. Eric is our Senior Vice President and Managing Director of our Sports Entertainment Division for Events DC. Yes, please give him a round of applause. Martine Cobal is next. She actually represents DMPED, the Deputy Mayor's Office for Planning and Economic Development. She'll speak a little bit about that project, but I've known Martine for quite some time. She is very seasoned and is very accomplished on many projects. She's blushing about a lot of the projects she's done for the district, so she'll explain more about her role on this project, but please give her a round of applause as well. And last but not least is Mr. Randy Bowe, who is the Executive Vice President and General Counsel for Monumental Sports. And you all had a chance to hear from him, and certainly he'll talk more about, again, what Monumental is doing, not only for this project, but also for the city. Yes, please give him a round of applause, please. Sorry. So I'd be remiss in not also mentioning some key folks who have joined us, and that are some members of our board. So they really took the time to be here because it's important to them that we make sure that we're in the community and we do this project right. So first I want to introduce John Boardman. Where is John? Right here. Please give John a round of applause. John heads our development committee, who has oversight for this project for us, and then also Jay Haddock Ortiz, who runs our operations committee, board of directors here. And I was intentional to say last but not least, and you know her for what she's done for the city. She is on our development committee as well, and she's just been amazing. And to see her here and support, please give it up for Denise Rolock Barnes, who's here with us, so everybody knows her. Thank you. All right, so what I want to do is first kind of set the stage about why we're here and since what has passed. So you'll see from the agenda, if we can get to that, please. We're going to talk about, we already went through our welcomes, introductions, and lots of rounds of applause, but we want to give an overview and a recap about what the project is. So again, we want to talk about what is it to make sure everybody's familiar, and I know some people may not have been at the last community meeting. We also want to talk about who's involved, and again, we've only had our team, and we've had some new team members that we're going to introduce today. So again, every step of the way, we want to make sure that we're letting you know who's on the project and who's doing what. And also, we're going to talk about where are we now. So what have we done since we last talked to you or met with you and exchanged some ideas about what we were doing. So after that, we'll have some Q&A. We want to leave plenty of time for Q&A. As much as I'm talking, I'd rather hear from you about questions or concerns or comments and how we'll get this project done together to make it the best that it can be. So as I said, the first item was a recap. So I'll direct your attention to the stage, to the screen. As you'll see, again, we're building a 5,000-seat arena. We have not started the design process yet, so these are all what we hope to be the program elements. But as we get into the design and we figure out how best to build this, some of these may fluctuate, but we certainly hope we can build a 5,000-seat arena. As you recall, we'll have the Mystics play there. We'll also have maybe the D-League team will play there for Monumental. And then we also are going to have, as you'll see in the second bullet, lots of entertainment, athletic, community, and cultural events. So we want to make sure we program this in a way that we can do all those things in this building, and it's something that the community can embrace, not only to enjoy the events that we bring here, such as concerts and the like, but also that we're doing the community programming in this space. So it's going to be very key when we design it, that we design it in a way that everybody can enjoy this building. I spoke about the practice facility. So the arena is separate and apart for what will be the practice facility for the Washington Wizards. So we're very excited the fact that they're going to have a state-of-the-art facility where they can train. So John Wall, when he wants to play at 2 a.m. in the morning, he's going to come over here and he's going to practice so he can work on his game and get better. So we're excited to have a place here in Ward 8 that he can do that. And as you'll see, and Randy can probably talk about this more, it's also a recruiting tool, frankly, for other players. So if we all dream and we want Kevin Durant here, guess what? He's going to want a facility like that to train in. So, and I'm just me speaking. I'm not going to record for Randy, but I will say this is the kind of thing that really is key to having those athletes here. to practice in this facility. I spoke already that the arena will also be where the Mystics will play, and then the D-League team also will possibly play there when Monumental signs a D-League team. Next slide, please. So we talked a little bit at a high level about the schedule. Before I get to that, I just want to reiterate who the players are. So across the top, you'll see first are the district, which is they are the landlords, so they own the ground, and they're also going to be contributing to the funding of this project. So we're obviously excited that the district made a commitment to do that. But as you all know, this is only one parcel and just one development as part of a broader development. And I know Martine will speak about that later. Events DC, so that's us. So our role in the city is we are the convention and sports authority for the city. So what does that mean? We own and operate some of the facilities so that we can attract people here to come visit Washington, D.C., so we can have people stay in hotels, come to our restaurants. That will drive tax dollars, but it's also about creating great event experiences for our residents as well. So that is our key mission, and we do that at a couple of venues. So that's why we're very excited that we're going to build this facility, because it's not just about hosting our great partners for Monumental, but it's also about us creating great event experiences in that facility, okay? The third is Monumental Sports, so you all obviously are familiar with them, been great partners and great contributors to the city. So the fact that they're making a commitment here to actually have the training facility here, but then also they're going to make an investment in the community. I know Randy will speak to that again as well. Lastly, and most importantly, obviously it's about everybody in this room, it's about this entire community. So the whole reason that we're doing this is to make sure that we do it in the right way that benefits the community. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to go and make sure we don't get ahead of you all and that we have discussions along the way about what we're planning so that we make sure everyone feels like they are heard and have input on this process, okay? So next slide, please. So at this point, I'm going to introduce or reintroduce Eric Moses, who I already told you is our Senior Vice President and Managing Director of our Sports and Entertainment Division. So Eric right now, what he does is manages all our sports and entertainment activities. That's not only limited to the facilities that we operate, such as RFK and the Armory, but also extends to any event programming that we do across the city and even any events that we partner with. So as a good example, we may work with the Jazz Festival to have programming across the city. Eric's responsible for doing that as well. So he'll tell you about our latest adventure coming over here to also work on Gateway, and we're very excited about that. So without further ado, Mr. Moses.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. As Greg said, we're very excited, and those of you who were here at the last meeting we held know that in January, our organization started working with our friends at DIMPED to take over the day-to-day management of Gateway DC Pavilion. The city did, I think, all of us a service by putting that venue in this neighborhood so that foot traffic and more visitors can come to this area as we get ready to have this entire San Elizabeth East campus redeveloped. And so thankfully, our friends at DIMPED said, you know, we're not in the event management business, but you guys are, so why don't you come over here and run this one in the same way you do with your other portfolio of venues. So since January, we've been working here. We're staffed up now, and I want to take some time to actually introduce our staff so that when you see them around this building and around this campus, you'll know who they are. Sharon Pratt, who is here, is our sales manager. Sharon, if you stand and wave to folks. Ricardo Durham is our event manager for Gateway DC. Ricardo. And our very newest addition is Brian Atkins, as our community engagement coordinator. Brian, where are you? And Brian is over here. So all three of these folks are located inside the R.I.S.E Center, in fact, right behind the security desk, and they're working here. They're out in the community. Brian, in particular, will be out in the community. Many of you probably already know him from the Far Southeast Collaborative. We're very thankful to have him here and helping us to continue to get to know this community better and to do what we need to do here. We've been active with some of our event programming already. Some of it we've picked up from the city. Hopefully many of you came to the Cozy Christmas event that we held in December. We were very pleased to be able to work with the community to give out 300 bicycles to families in Ward 8 and Ward 7. It was a very successful event with a magician and Santa Claus and readings and lots of food and hot chocolate, thankfully, because it was cold that day. So that was a great event, and we have many more planned for the coming year in 2016. You'll see many of these you may be familiar with: the Far Southeast Family Collaborative Community Day, Broccoli City Festival. Hopefully many of you have come to in the past when it's been here at Gateway. They have a fantastic lineup for this year and expecting maybe upwards of 10,000 people to come out. Again, the more people around this city and the region that come to this area and become familiar with Gateway DC, but also with Congress Heights, the easier these larger projects will be for us, not just the ESA, but also, frankly, the full redevelopment of this campus. Congress Heights Day will be happening again on May 7th. The Dream 2K 16 is a picnic. The Deer Summer with DTLR is another concert, and the Good Life Cookout Festival is a returning event as well. So be on the lookout for those things. These are things we know about now. The way our business works is that there will be other things that we fill in as we continue to pursue events, and I can tell you, Sharon joined our team from our convention center team, and she lets no moss grow under her feet. So there will be lots of events coming here, and we hope that to hear more from you all about your feedback on the events that we're having, and frankly, things that you might like to see come to the venue. Next slide. I skipped ahead and already told you about the folks who were here. Like I said, we're implementing some of this. Oh, they switched up on me. All right, we're implementing some of this already. Up there are some of the ways that you can get in touch with us, and Sharon in particular, that's her email address. If you have an idea or know of an event that has either happened in the city or in the ward, or one that you'd like to bring, please do not hesitate to contact Sharon. Next slide. So at this point, it's my pleasure to bring someone up here who I've known for a long time and who I'm sure many of you know is from the great work she's done in this city and east of the river, and that's Monica Ray, and she's with Capital Services Management, Inc., and will be working with us on this project. So Monica.
Good evening. I am really excited about all these applause that we're getting tonight. I am happy to be here and a part of this team. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Monica Ray. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Capital Services Management, Inc. We are a firm that's been in Southeast and Congress Heights since our inception in '85. Been around a long, long time. I live, work, and play in this community. I'm absolutely committed to it. We believe that community engagement is really about coming to the community often, not just showing up at the beginning and saying, here's what we're going to do, and come back 2 years later and say, here's what we did. Enjoy. It's about making sure that your input is taken all throughout the process, and ultimately a better project at the end. I'm pleased to be a part of this team and look forward to helping you have your input seen in this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. So on that note, it's a great segue. One of the things, when we were here last time, we had a lot of conversation in the Q&A about community benefits agreement, about a community investment. And so after that, we started receiving some questions from everybody about getting on an advisory committee or what were the next steps. So I first want to say we haven't done anything yet, so we haven't gotten ahead of anybody. We haven't made any commitments or any selection of anybody. But what we want to do today is explain what exactly there is that we're going to do. So there really are 3 different things that we want to engage you with, and we want your help and your input to develop. So the first one, just to be clear, is the ESA, and by the way, since we're all going to be working on this together, I don't want to have to say entertainment sports arena every time we talk, so I'm going to say ESA if that's okay. So ESA is the project. It is specific to the arena. It's not the entire campus, but we want to have a community benefits agreement, and we're going to have a process or how we get to that so that we know we're getting input from what you all want to see out of that project. So that's the first thing. So we haven't done anything yet. But when we come back next time as a process, we probably will be here in probably the next 45 days, we're going to focus on that. So just so everybody knows. The second piece is Monumental Sports and their community investment. So you heard our fine friend Randy Bowe talk about it before, that he also wants to engage the community about what they're willing to do and how they're going to invest in this community. So we haven't done anything yet. Randy, you haven't done anything yet, right? So we're going to make sure that we outreach to everybody and we talk about the process of how we want to engage everybody. The last one, just to be clear again, to separate and apart from those others, is that there's going to be a community benefits agreement, as you all know, that's already been negotiated by Red Brick. And as DMPED manages this process and they have other parcels and other redevelopment, I'm sure they're going to have CBAs associated with that. And there's going to be broader discussions about all that. But I just want to be clear when we talk that we're going to have to make sure that we give clear names as to what we're talking about and the groups and the stakeholders that we want to engage. But we want everybody to be a part of it. But when we're talking about it, I just want to make sure it's in one of those 3 buckets. So that was the purpose really of describing. So we really have lots of different opportunities to get great input and also have great benefit for the community to enjoy. So we're not doing it today, so I want to make sure that we give you time to react and we talk about a process when we do that. So the very next meeting we're going to talk about that process. Okay, is everybody okay with that? Just want to make sure. Okay, thank you. So with this, I get the opportunity again to reintroduce Martine as I spoke. And I should also say there's 2 really different construction processes going on here for this project. So we talked about the building. So we're going to build this state-of-the-art facility. But before that building gets done, you all may recall we talked about there's a lot of infrastructure work. And you all here know it better than me, seeing the campus, that a lot of work has to get done. Infrastructure, utilities, all the like. So fortunately, we have a great partner in the district and led by Martine, who can tell you about what that process is and give you an update and share with you all what they're doing. Martine.
Thank you very much, Greg. I'm going to stand over here. Good evening, everyone. I'm Martine Kombala. I'm Deputy Director of Real Estate in the Office of the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. And just a little bit about St. Elizabeth's. A lot of you, and I have to say, I have not been directly in the last few months involved in St. Elizabeth's, but I have been working closely with Catherine Buell, who is the Executive Director of St. Elizabeth's for the past few years. Catherine left our office in December, and I have taken on, in my capacity as Deputy Director, the interim Executive Director position for St. Elizabeth's. So I am the point person on day-to-day. We have a number of folks here that I would just like to point out who have been working on St. Elizabeth's for several years now. We have Darnetta Tyus, if you just want to raise your hand. A lot of people know Darnetta, working on community engagement. We have James Parks, a project manager in our office, and Andre Swan, another project manager in our office. So we have a great team of people working on St. Elizabeth's. Many of you know we went through an RFP process for a master developer that we selected Red Brick. We have a community benefits agreement, a disposition agreement that's actually before the council, and we're anticipating that the council will approve that in early March. And there's a lot going on with St. Elizabeth's in terms of things that are coming up. So we are going through a hiring process to identify a permanent replacement for Catherine, and we're working through that. We hope to have that in place within the next few months. We also just last week, in partnership with the Department of General Services, and Vanessa Simmons is our faithful partner over at DGS on infrastructure and new construction and the like. And she's working with our office, and we coordinated this demolition event that took place that will allow for the construction of the new entertainment sports arena at what is known as Building 119, 124. Those 2 buildings are actually in the process of coming down. So you will see that activity happening over the next few months. If we could go to the next slide. Additionally, we have what is called the Stage 1, Phase 1 infrastructure that is essentially underway. DGS released the request for proposals on February 12th to identify a contractor that will construct all new roads and improvements. So we're talking about water, sewer, gas lines, electricity, sidewalks, and new roads that are going to be put in place. And they will allow for new access to the entertainment sports arena, arena, as well as the phase 1 redevelopment that's going to be underway and will happen in conjunction once the infrastructure is in place. So that the map above, you can get a sense of the new road configuration. It will follow a lot of the roads that you currently use today to get into the campus. So you will be seeing in our office, we'll be working with the Department of General Services, to make sure that you all are updated about any impacts that you may see in the future. But construction, we're anticipating, will begin sometime this summer. So with that, I will hand it back to Greg.
Thank you, Martine. So Martine obviously gave a great overview on the infrastructure. We want to talk a little bit about what we're doing on the vertical construction, again, on the facility that we're going to build. So we're in the early stages. We've added a couple of team members that we're going to introduce tonight. So we went through a solicitation process for the architect services, and we went through a solicitation process for the program management services, for those who are really going to be our project managers on the team. So you'll see we went through a process, and we actually had the informer actually did an e-blast for us and listed the solicitation. We actually had 34 different bidders come to the pre-bid conference, so there was a lot of interest in this. One of the things that we mentioned at the onset last time is for our major contracts, we wanted to make sure we had some solid CBE goals. So we had 50% CBE, but then we also had 35% SBE as part of this as well. So we're obviously want to stay and make sure, try to maintain that level of participation on this project. So tonight here, before we're going to introduce our partners, so you'll see and learn a lot more about them. We have Marshall Moya and R.I.S.E for the architect team, and then I'll later introduce the Brailsford team. So at this time, I'd love to introduce Michael Marshall to say some words on behalf of the architect team.
I'd just like to start by stating that I'm a native Washingtonian. I actually attended the University of District of Columbia when it was still called the Washington Technical Institute. So when I was there is when it transitioned and combined the various universities to make what now is the University of District of Columbia. My firm, Marshall Moya Design, is a CBE, LSDBE firm here in DC. After my time at UDC, I went to Catholic University, and then after that, I graduated from Yale with a master's degree in architecture. So coming back to DC and being part of the renaissance of the city is very important to me, just as this project is very, very important. Knowing the history of the area and how things have evolved, this is a great opportunity, and we're very excited to be here. So Marshall Moya Design has teamed with R.I.S.E, who is specialist in sports and entertainment venues. But at the same time, our firm has been involved with several high-profile projects throughout the city, notably the Howard Theater. I don't know how many people have gone to the Howard Theater, but we were the architects for the renovation of that and bringing it back to life. We were also architects for the Chuck Brown Memorial and what just opened last month, the UDC Student Center. So that was great to be able to come back and to be part of the team to bring a new face to the university. So we are very excited. There are numerous other projects that we've worked on here in the city and also in your neighborhood and in this ward. So I'm gonna invite my partner, Paula Moya, up to speak about some of the projects that we've done in the area and where we are now with projects.
Thank you, Michael. Well, good evening, and for us, it's a total pleasure to be part of this project. We are very involved with our communities. Our mission is to make sure that we deliver a beautiful product that you can go there, entertain, take your family, take your kids. And for us, being part of the built fabric of DC is so important. So we want to make sure that this is another beautiful project that we had. Just like Michael said, we have been privileged to have some projects in DC. And at the moment, we are working at several projects in the Ward 8. One is Bright Beginnings, it's a school on 4th Street. We also have Reunion Square, which is on Martin Luther King and V. We are also doing the new headquarters for Bread for the City, which is going to be also in the area. And we're also part of the team that is doing the DC United Soccer Stadium. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity, and we look forward to working with you. And now I'm going to introduce Jerry. Thank you, Jerry.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jerry Attia. I am principal with R.I.S.E. R.I.S.E is a national sports firm with a focus on sports and entertainment, like Michael said, and we were very excited about being involved in this project. We came to DC, and we found really the best firm that we thought was most capable of delivering this project with us. We have a very specific focus on NBA practice facilities and mid-sized arenas. So if you were to draw sort of the strike zone of what we do, those are the two things that we do most. My personal interest is to do buildings that allow fellowship opportunities with among people and allow them to sort of transcend the social dynamics through sports. And whether that be enjoying a Mystics game or watching a practice, or a child getting a glimpse of John Wall or Kobe Bryant or Kevin Durant, maybe, so we're looking forward to those kinds of opportunities and building a fantastic dynamic facility for this community that really engages with you and offers you as many opportunities as it offers the rest of the city.
Next slide. So there will be activities and different initiatives that we're going to bring as a design team. Some of the things that we already do, we're going to bring students into our office to be part and to witness what the process is to develop a building like that. And they will shadow us throughout the whole process, even during construction. So we're really looking forward to bringing the community to be part of this team, and we're very excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're very excited. So you met our architects. Now, the other team that we've introduced today that we want you to meet tonight, and that is Brailsford and Dunleavy. So they are, as I said, our program management team, and they really are helping us to manage the project. So they'll even manage our architect friends on occasion. But great, exactly. So, but in all sincerity, we're very excited, as you'll hear and see from the team. They have a lot of history and projects here in the city. So without further ado, please meet the principal, Chris Dunleavy. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Greg. I'll ask Harrison Boyd and Kwame Kumi to please join me up here as well. Most people understand that an architect is responsible for designing the ideas for a building, doing wonderful pictures. Many people don't realize the amount of work that goes into administering the schedules, the budgets, managing the contracts in a project, and that's what a program manager does. It's a big job, and for that reason we've put together a partnership to get the job done effectively. My firm, Brailsford and Dunleavy, is a program management firm that has a national practice, but is really rooted here in the District of Columbia. We were founded here 23 years ago, have remained headquartered here in DC ever since, even though we are today listed as one of the top 50 program management firms in the country and have 10 offices across the country. We also happen to have a specialized practice group in sports venues, and among our portfolio of projects, we include projects here in DC such as Nationals Park, for which we were program manager, and we're currently doing program management work for the city on the DC United Stadium. But it also includes a portfolio of National Football League, Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, and NBA facilities across the U.S. As I said, though, we remain very much rooted here in D.C. and have put together a partnership of firms to cover this important project that we know has the capabilities to do so. Our work here in D.C. has included work here in Ward 8. We do work for the D.C. Public Libraries, the D.C. Public Schools, Howard University, University District of Columbia, within relatively near walking distance of this site. Our project work includes Ballou High School, the modernized Anacostia High School, right down the road, Savoy Elementary School. These are all some of our projects that we've put together in the community. We've partnered in this effort with two other firms. Please come join us, Kwame. Kumi Construction Management and ADC Management Solutions. And I'll ask each of the representatives of those firms to say a word or two about their organizations. I will note that between the three of us, all three are certified business enterprises. This is a 100% CBE, LSDBE team headed up by the folks represented here.
Good evening. I'm Harrison Boyd with ADC Management Solutions. ADC Management Solutions is a human resource and consultant provider. We have employees in 39 states in the U.S. and Puerto Rico. However, the firm was founded here in the District of Columbia. It's a woman-owned company in 2003, and we provide services to a number of agencies in the district, including the Department of General Services, Department of Public Works, DC Water, and now Events DC. We feel privileged to join the team to work with Brayford and Dunleavy. We've worked with them on school modernization, and we welcome the opportunity to support this project.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charles Kumi Jr. I work for Kumi Construction Management. We are a new firm, but we are specialized in scheduling, cost estimating, a building inspection, and all those kind of stuff. We are very happy to be here, and we are going to make sure that we provide the best quality of product that we can help you guys with.
Great. Thank you. All right. And with that, we'll turn it back.
Thank you, guys. So I'd be remiss before we at least talk about next steps to recognize some special people that you all know and cherish. Our 8C chair, Mary Cuthbert, is here. Please give her a round of applause. From 8C05, Brenda Shields is here. Please give her a round of applause as well. And I thought I saw former council member Sandy Allen. Is she here? Is she still here? Please give her a round of applause as well. Thank you. So with that, I just want to quickly go over our next steps. So as I spoke before earlier, we're going to engage the very next meeting. We're going to talk about the community engagement process, and particularly the community benefits agreement. So we're going to spend a lot of time on that. So we're going to make sure we dive deep. For the design process, so you all met the design team. They literally are going to start tomorrow is their first day that they're actually, so they were here. This is their first job, was to come meet you all tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to get started. And so just to give you a little bit of kind of insight as to what that process looks like. So we told you about all the different programming that we want to do in the facility. We want to have the Wizards practice. We want to have the Mystics, I sound like Allen Iverson, practice. So we want to have the Wizards practice. We want to have the Mystics play, the D-League play. We're also going to have all the concert and community events that we talked about. That's a lot to fit into one building. So the first thing they have to do is manage and see how that program's going to work because we have limited resources. We're not going to spend unlimited dollars. So they first have to try to figure out from a space planning perspective how all that's going to work. But once they start doing that, then they'll get into the schematic design and some conceptual design. So that's where you all are going to get plenty of input, but I want to at least let you know they first have to try to even figure the space out. But then we'll start to look like how we're going to use the space and how we're going to do all those different things together. So I just want to give you insight. So we will set up time on how we're going to obviously introduce that design or that initial design and get your feedback on that. So jobs training, a couple different opportunities that we talked about. One is through, so we're gonna have lots of construction, and Martine already spoke of the construction that they're going to do on the infrastructure. We're also gonna have construction opportunities for CBEs, for trades, for all mechanical, electrical, all those we're gonna have opportunities, but we're also gonna have opportunities for residents to work. So we're gonna make sure we focus on how we're gonna have places that everybody knows how they can get to us and have opportunities to find out what those jobs are for the construction site. And then we're also going to talk about jobs on the operations side. So I spoke a little bit last time when we were working on the Convention Center Hotel downtown, the Marriott Marquis. We had a jobs training program. We want to set up the same thing here. So we will make sure from the operations of the building that once it's built, that we have opportunities for everybody to work in this facility. So that's going to have jobs like all the event management jobs. We're going to have jobs on the food and beverage side. So we want to make sure that we identify what those jobs are, and then we set up training, and we need to do it early enough so everybody gets the training and has opportunities. So we're going to make sure, again, we haven't started that process yet. We got time, but we want to make sure we're still putting it up here so everybody knows it's important to us, and we're going to get to that, okay? So hiring process I talked about, we'll make sure we set something up on site once we start that construction process that people know how to get to us. So that's really it. We've done enough talking. What we want to hear now is questions and Q&A from everybody else. I do have one more shout out though. The wonderful food that we have from Georgina's. Please give them a round of applause for feeding us tonight. And I don't think anybody saved me. Oh, I do see they saved me some food, so I will get some. But I told them I had to earn my keep first, and so we want to hear from you all now. So please, any questions? And I'll ask Chinyeti, I guess, if you would, just to kind of organize us on the Q&A.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Chinyeti Hubbard with Events DC. So you've heard from us. Now it's an opportunity to hear from you. And hopefully everyone has received index cards to write your question on. So if you have not, we have staff who can pass out those index cards to you. But in the meantime, and just a couple of housekeeping notes, we will have these questions posted on our website as well as a videotape of tonight's meeting on our website in the community section of eventsdc.com. And what we'll do is have their microphones right in the middle of the room, and you can come up and ask a question, and our panelists will answer the question. When you are done, please write your question on the index card and hand it to an Events DC staff member. We want to make sure we capture as many questions as possible so we can respond appropriately and be able to post everything on our website. Okay, so we can start. If anybody has a question, like to start? Question? Okay. You want to stand up here in the microphone? It's right here.
Hi there.
Commissioner. Okay. Okay.
I just want to know, you talked about the training that'll take place. Will that training take place here in the ward, and will folks who are from the ward be available to give that training?
Yes, so the training will definitely take place here, and I'll caveat, I'm speaking of a program that doesn't exist yet, so let me first say that before I don't want to mislead anybody, but our desire is that training will take place here in the ward, and we certainly want local businesses and residents to help not only get the training, but for those who have the capability to help us do the training as well. Okay?
Good evening. My concern is not a question. My concern is to the architects. I want this building to have a oomph. I want it to be special, something different, because I'm in competition with the National Harbor. So I want to let you know now. So when you think about designing, I want it to have a oof. When people come in, they say, oh, this is Congress Heights. I can't believe it. That's what I want you to think about. And I understand money is involved, the cost on the design, but you can do it at an affordable price.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet our newest program manager. In all seriousness, I agree 100%, and I appreciate, Chairman Cupper, that you mentioned, obviously there's constraints, budget constraints, but we didn't pick these guys for nothing. We think they're the right team that can get creative and give us that unique experience.
Okay, hi everybody. As you all can tell, I'm a teen youth, and my concern is youth awareness. I feel like our youth in this era isn't well heard unless we retaliate negatively. I want us to be heard in this center. So far, all I hear is sports entertainment and Kevin Durant, but youth awareness is what's more important to me. So I want to hear talk about that instead.
Thank you. No, that's a great point, and thank you for coming tonight and mentioning that. So we recognized when we did this program that one of the things we were doing was to build something that would be the attraction, right? So we do want to have a sports entertainment attraction, but at the end of the day, it is about the community, and we get that. So the first thing we need to do is part of that programming I spoke of, there's going to be a community programming that we're going to focus on. And so I asked you, just as you came tonight, you got to come back more every meeting when we talk about that community program, and I need to hear what type of programming that you want as the youth, but also the community. And we have to do that together. I can't even think for what you would want for programming. So we need to hear from you, and we need to build that into the type of programming we're going to do. So I appreciate you coming tonight and saying that, because that is exactly what we need to get this done. And I will say this is only one project, right? So DIMPED is working on redeveloping this entire campus. So there's also going to be opportunities for them as they have partners like us. They're going to have other partners that will directly do and build and develop things that will affect the youth and affect the community directly in response to what you're asking for. And I'll ask, I don't know if Martine, if you want to say anything else, but she says I said it enough. But thank you for that comment.
Good evening. My name is Philip Pinnell. I'm a resident of Congress Heights. Mine is a geographical and historical concern. Recently, a survey was sent out by one of the deputy mayor's office, and it's an online survey, and it says, what ward do you live in? And if you click on Ward 8, then it asks, what neighborhood do you live in? And then you click, and it drops down, the menu drops down, and it identifies 17 neighborhoods in Ward 8. One is Congress Heights, and another one is St. Elizabeth's. Now, I know that when a community is undergoing dramatic and drastic transformation, many times the history of that community can get misplaced, displaced, and replaced. As far as I'm concerned, St. Elizabeth is in Congress Heights. And I know that sometimes there may be folks who are developing certain sections of Ward 8 who want to give the impression to the rest of the city that you can come to a certain part of Ward 8 and it will feel as if you're not even there, and they will go so far as to rename that particular neighborhood. So I would just like to know from all of the principals that are involved in this project, what neighborhood do you think the arena will be in? Thank you.
I'm glad I had the pleasure of listening to you first, sir, but I will tell you, from day one, in the first community meeting we had, the first thing I heard is that we want Congress Heights to be a destination. Not St. Elizabeth's campus, Congress Heights. So from my perspective, and I know I can speak on behalf of our board and our staff, we're in Congress Heights, and we're going to always be in Congress Heights. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'll pass it down.
Again, I agree with Greg. It's Congress Heights. I think we can follow up directly with you, Mr. Pinnell, about which office sent that out, and just follow that up with you directly. But it's Congress Heights. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hello, Mr. Odell. You mentioned, in reference to the jobs training program, you mentioned that you had a program with Marriott Construction and you want to do it the same way. I'm a member of One DC's leadership team, which worked with you on that. The hiring target was we only reached 40% of the hiring target. I think we need to do a little better than that the same way we did. You got some thoughts on how you're going to reach the target? Or?
Yep. No, it's a great question. It's what the kind gentleman was referring to was when we set out on this project for the hotel had about 500 jobs when it first opened. And so we were able to achieve almost 40%, about 180, close to 200, and that fluctuated with some people that did not stay on board. One of the challenges that we had with that project was that when hotels open, they bring a lot of people from existing hotels to make sure they operate smoothly up front. Now, I can't speak for Eric Moses, who's going to run this facility, but I will say he and I know that we have a commitment to try to ramp up as many jobs as we can here. So I think we probably won't have to face as big a challenge of having as many people come from an existing arena, because frankly, we won't have an existing arena. So I'm hopeful that we can actually have more people, a higher percentage of that first training that's on this job. So I appreciate the point, and we'll strive to do better than that.
Good evening. My name is Sine Lewis. As a recent graduate of Howard University and the Florence Design Academy, coming back to DC, especially within the Ward 8s, sorry. I've had a great opportunity to work with the Ward 8's Arts and Culture Council, doing a lot of things design-wise in the area. I just want to make sure that myself and other young professionals, we have the opportunity to have involvement in this process. You know, as designers, there's a lot of artists, a lot of people working in fine arts in other areas. You just want to make sure that's going to be available.
No, thanks for your statement. I think we're seeing kind of art take its prominent place all over the city recently, and we think that this area is also going to need that. Art kind of brings people out and brings people together, and one of the things that we want to see with the facility, inside and out, quite frankly, as has already been done here at Gateway with some of the installations outside, is the incorporation of art into that. We've had some conversations with the Arts Council and with Tindani, who I see sitting there, about how do we get young people involved with job training programs that can start off with something that goes maybe art installations outside, but then can transition into opportunities once the facility is up and running. The kinds of things that and the kinds of jobs that we'll have inside the facility will lend themselves to certain technical jobs and certain artistic jobs, whether it's lighting, whether it's sound, all these things that are done for shows that happen now at the Verizon Center and happen at the Armory and RFK and the other venues that we run. So it's something we've already talked about internally and a little bit externally, and something we intend to try to figure out how to connect those dots for young people in this ward in particular, but across the city, so that there's a pathway from training to full-time employment.
I'm Thomas Ruffin. I'm actually one of the advisory neighborhood commissioners in Ward 8. I have two questions, but I briefly want to introduce them this way. Several years ago, the city government gave about $42 million to the development at Target Mall at 14th Street and Park Road. And notwithstanding promises to the contrary, poor residents, mainly Black and Latino, were moved out of that community by this enormous development that brought in upper class and higher income people into the neighborhood. Similarly, several years ago, the city government put aside about $1 billion for the construction of the Nationals ballpark. And notwithstanding promises to the contrary, a large community of poor and working class people were displaced from that community. In this area, we have Alabama Avenue needing to be paved, potholes all over. Martin Luther King Avenue needing to be paved, potholes all over. South Capitol Street, Southern Avenue needing to be paved, potholes all over. Good Hope Road in the same condition. And we also have United Medical Center, which is supposed to be a fine hospital, but it really is not, being underfunded, ill-staffed, and poorly managed. Now, this is my first question. With $55 to $58 million being provided by the city government for the construction of these two facilities, does the city government get equity ownership or part of equity ownership in Monumental Sports, number one? And number two, assuming that the city government does not get that, why in the world are we giving $55 to $58 million to a billionaire when the city needs to put $55 to $58 million in United Medical Center so as to provide excellent health care to poor and working class Black and other people living in this community? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Ruffin. So I think a couple things, and I appreciate your message, and it's heartfelt because I know there's been lots of discussion about investment in the city. And we are an independent agency. We only are one part of the city, but we take responsibility for our role. So I think for us, you know, the $55 million, I think what we didn't do a good job of explaining up front of what that money is going to do is it's not necessarily just to serve one entity. You know, for the first time in all the deals that I've been associated with in the city, we're actually going to own and operate the facility. So we're operating the facility. So the dates that are going to happen, the Mystics will play there, and I'll let Randy speak to whether the Mystics make money or not. But the Mystics in the D-League are going to play there for X number of games that are probably going to represent 40% of the arena dates at best. That rest of 60%, which could be as high as 70%, is going to be all on us to do the programming for the community. So aside from the issues that you raised that are valid issues about where other investments are going in the city, I just want to be clear that it's not just an investment that's being given to those, to Monumental, who we still value are good partners, and we think there's a reason why we want to partner with them and invest in for the programming that they're going to do. But I just want to offer some clarification that I think we didn't do a good job of explaining when we partnered in the first place, is that we're going to own and operate this facility. We're not giving it to anybody, and we're actually going to do the majority of the programming there. So that's something that we probably have not done a good job messaging, and I'll take full responsibility for that. So that's the first part. As it relates to your balance about investment, you know, I think the city made a decision, which we support, that in some cases you make an investment to try to drive foot traffic there, and it's a balance. There's always going to be an opportunity cost of when you invest in a sports arena to try to drive more traffic and development there, versus when you do have to pay for potholes and investment in the infrastructure and other things. So it's above my pay grade to say what the city invests on every opportunity, but I will tell you, in some cases, if the convention center wasn't built or if certain other investments weren't made, there wouldn't be opportunity or prosperity for some people. But your point is, we need to make sure it's prosperity in an equitable way for everybody. And I truly believe that's what we're trying to accomplish with this project. And I'm gonna be here till hopefully to see that through, to get it done, because I would not have spent the time that we're spending now if I didn't think that was the case, because we could build a facility anywhere. But your point is well taken, and we're gonna try to achieve that.
Mr. Odell, I'm not going to disrespect your comments. I take them to heart. My point, adding on to what I said very quickly, is this. If indeed the purchase and the construction of this building, which would, as you say, be owned by the city government, is a smart investment, I would think that a smart billionaire like Ted Leonsis would buy the land and build the project himself and then let it out to others who would want to have concerts and so forth, while also making sure that his teams practice at the facilities. I'm just of the mind that most of the other teams in the NBA who have practice facilities, they actually own it. And I take it that when they own it, unless they had a sweetheart deal like this, they built it themselves. But that's all. I know you deserve the last word. It's your gathering.
I respectfully won't. I value what you said, and frankly, for that point, I think it's better served that Randy respond to that, because I don't want to speak for somebody else's behalf.
So my name is Randy Bowe. I'm from Monumental Sports and Entertainment. So we're excited about the opportunity to come here to Congress Heights, have the Mystics play here, have the Wizards practice here. And I think that we will bring a lot of value to this neighborhood. We will make this a destination where people will want to come. We'll bring events where people will want to attend. And I think that's the value that we bring to this enterprise. I'm not 100% sure what else to say about that, but we think that between the Mystics, the Wizards practice facility, a D-League team, we're going to be close to 100 events a year over here in Congress Heights. And I think that's the value that we bring to this. And I don't think we're displacing any other significant city initiative by coming over here.
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to everyone. My name is Harold Thomas. I'm a community advocate, community activist, and first and foremost, a youth advocate. Now, my question number one is, what steps will you take to make sure that the surrounding community residents be engaged in your CBA forum? Notably because of past experience with the Congress Heights development project under Sanford and Capital Developers. The residents were concerned that they were not engaged in a community forum relating to a CBA. And several community organizations that were stated to be politically connected received the benefits from the developers, not the community residents, nor were they engaged. Now, you say you're going to have community engagement. What steps will you take to make sure that the surrounding community residents are made aware of this engagement forum? That's one. Two, my main concern is to see equity in this development project for our youth, namely our high school, college students, and returning citizens to have equity in this development project to benefit from it. Now, I'm advocating, and I've sent a proposal to Events DC, advocating a entrepreneurship program project for a culinary arts program that would employ and train under the supervisions of a culinary chef, high school, college, and returning citizens to operate concession stands at the events and sports and events arena for conventions, parties, sports events, and what have you, under the supervision of a culinary chef to be the instructor and the supervisor. Now, that being an idea for a business model to be used at all DC events, sports venues for an economic development project that will ensure equity for our youth, college, high school students, and returning citizens. Because it needs to be understood that when unemployed individuals are not employed, there's a feeling of depression, and sometimes it results in violence. Now, it should be noted that when youth and returning citizens are employed, it becomes a win-win situation for those individuals plus the city, state, federal government, because they pay taxes. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. And I couldn't agree more. Start with the last thing you said. We had the privilege this year, and it's the first time we've done it at Events CC, that we started our program with Morca for returning citizens. And I'll say it's one of the best programs we've done. So it's something that we're going to do in our operations now, and it's something we certainly want to do and participate on this new arena as well. So I'll start with that. I personally haven't seen your proposal, so I'll give you my card. After this, I'll make sure you're going to come give it to me now. All right, fair enough. I will love to see it. Okay, excellent. Okay, we'll all read it. We'll make sure we check it out. So, we'll obviously we welcome all ideas and addressing not only returning citizens, but to your point, to youth for high school and college as well. I will say to the first point you made about making sure the community engagement process, we want to be as far-reaching as possible. So I mentioned it about 5 times already at this event tonight, that the next meeting we're going to talk about it. We're going to message it as much as we can, that we're going to try to touch as many people as possible. And we welcome ideas, and if you feel like we're not touching somebody in the community, let us know, because the next meeting, we're going to dive deep into that process, okay? Sure. You got a loud voice, we can hear you. Okay, okay. Okay. We want to touch everybody, so we appreciate it. Okay. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Appreciate it.
Hi, good evening. I'm a resident here and a homeowner, so I'm excited about the venue coming to the area, but I do worry about parking, and I want to know how soon will we know what parking is going to look like for this venue, and if it's actually going to be affordable so that people will be willing to park there as opposed to parking in the neighborhood. Another point in regards to awareness of the meetings, I found out about this meeting because of the demolition on someone's blog. Congress Heights on the Rise, on her blog, she talked about the demolition, and then I went to that, and then I found out about this. I took some of the flyers from one of your staff, and then I went around to certain businesses. Some businesses did have the flyer, but it wasn't hung up. It was kind of just amongst other papers. Okay. So I would like for there to be more awareness of the meetings, whether it's by mailings based on people vote. I don't know how you would get the word out, okay, but I really think it would be beneficial for people in the neighborhood to act, because most of these people I don't even think live in the neighborhood. The last event, it was predominantly the mayor's staff. It was predominantly the mayor's staff who was at the meeting. So I really would like to see more community engagement. And one last question. I'm not saying that there are not people here, but I think there should be more people here. Like the room should be packed, filled to capacity with people.
We agree. We agree.
And one last thing would be about the vendors. I've gone to lots of the Wizards games, and a lot of the vendors are like just Monument doing the foods and the beverages. I would like to know eventually, if not right now, what percentage of small businesses will be allowed to be vendors at this particular venue?
Sure. Okay. So you gave me a lot. Let me make sure, check my list. So I'm gonna write down the last one, vendors. So when we're operating the facility, we will make sure that there is at least 35% CBE participation in all the vendors we have. So I will tell you from the start, from the operations perspective, we will make sure that, if not higher, if we can achieve that. Let's see, outreach, you said. So where is Pete? Everybody see Pete in the background. Pete and all of our team, you met some of our community team, and obviously Monica Ray, who's on board with her company and her firm now. We want to make sure that we are touching as many people as possible. So if we're not using the right proper vehicles, I just exposed 2 of our partners right now, and Brian, who's just started with us. Raise your hand, Brian, don't be shy. Please let us know how we get to everybody. We want to know. We're not trying to hide anything. So let us know how we reach out. We appreciate the comment. So we'll make sure we'll do better to get everybody, and we'll try to notice as soon as we can, as soon as we get the date. Parking, I think, was the first one you mentioned, right? So the parking, the way we're envisioning parking right now is that we want to make it as accessible as possible and as quick as possible. So when we first start building it, we may have surface parking for, and I can't speak to this, but we've talked to Martine and the deputy mayor team about using some of the empty lots for parking. And if we do that, we certainly want to make it accessible. You know, we want to make sure it's affordable. So we are going to do that. But one thing that we want to do, if we can solve for it right away, is figure out how we can do parking that may be the parking that would exist for the campus in a more permanent way. So to be smart about how we do it. So we haven't figured anything out yet. So I promise, as we get in this process of design, we'll talk about parking. If that works for you, we'll make sure we'll address it. Is that okay? All right. Thank you.
How you doing? I don't really like to talk with mics because I think I'm loud enough. Oh, they need me to record. Oh, okay. Well, they requested me to have the mic. When I look around Ward 8, I see a lot of things, and I've been to a lot of meetings, of course, with our council member and the mayor with respect to homelessness and how they're being treated with respect to they can't seem to find the money to help out with our homelessness issue. I look around, and we have a rec center up there with one of the biggest icons in Black history, such as the Frederick Douglass home, but they just underfunded that. Yet they found the money to give you guys to build this stadium. Now, I'm not knocking on that because I love when the city does great things for Ward 8, but when the issues that we face that are catastrophic get neglected, and then we come up and parade around something like, you know, a stadium, it's quite saddening because we got issues with education and a whole lot of other things. And to see tax dollars that I know, because I'm a working citizen here, go to you guys is very disheartening. So my question is, how will you reach out to the community versus what I'm seeing up here on the board? Because you're saying a lot of stuff, but you're really not elaborating on what you guys are really trying to do as you say that when you want to partner with the neighborhood. There's really not enough substance that you're giving me. I mean, I know it's a lot for everybody else to clap their hands in here and say, hey, they're going to give jobs, they're going to hire and promote. But how is that process going to get broken down? And how are we going to see that our people, the people that have lived here for all of their life, actually get an opportunity to say, hey, I'm working in this building. Hey, I'm actually being able to participate in something that's now a part of Ward 8. How are you really going to get this happening? How will you reach out to us? Because if you don't explain that process except for, putting up a bulletin like that, right now, that's the reason why you have a low turnout like this. Because to be quite honest, you did enough to get enough people here. You didn't do a quite good job to get everybody here, like the young woman said.
Thank you for your comment. No, okay. Well, let me address your comment. Let me address your comment because point was well taken. So let me say this. The reason why I'm not the last thing I want to do is preach or wax poetic about all the things we may or may not do. The thing that I'm going to commit that we are going to do is that we're going to be here and come back to sit down with you and figure out together. Like, I'm not going to prescribe to anybody what we think the community wants. But your point is valid. You don't want to just be talking heads up here and say, we're going to do this and do that. But we have to come back. And so what I'm saying, the next meeting, we're going to come back and we're going to dive into the process with you. But I'm not even going to guess as to what that is, because I need to hear from you as to what it is that you want. So we usually meet about every 45 days. So the only reason we haven't picked it is because we want to make sure we get the calendars, and we're going to publish it. But we've said early on, and we're going to commit to this, about every 45 days, if not sooner, we're going to come back. So I hear you loud and clear, and I know just in listening to you the last time that we were here, the community, that you've been through this dance before. And the last thing I want to do is have another dance with you. So we do want to make sure that when we sit down, that we're actually addressing and we talk about real things that you want and that how we can get there. So that is my commitment to you. So I'm not going to put up all steps and processes. If we don't follow them, then it's just an empty promise. So I hear you loud and clear.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Jones, and I'm a Ward 8 resident. Are you all familiar with the St. E's ambassadors? Are there any St. E's ambassadors here? Okay. Well, I want to know, what are the plans for the ambassadors?
Okay. Actually, Darnett is going to speak to that for us. Thank you.
Hi, guys. We'll make sure that Events DC is fully briefed on the ambassadors program. And it was a program where where many of the people in this room were ambassadors for St. Elizabeth's, a volunteer program where when you have community events, they will show up with, well, they had loud green T-shirts, very loud, and you wore it proudly. And so now it was it was the St. Elizabeth's ambassadors program, and we also used CSOSA as another arm. There were 3 arms. There were our seniors, there were high school ambassadors, and then we used CSOSA. So we'll make sure that Events DC is fully briefed on that program.
Hi, good afternoon. I have 2 questions. I was going to be quiet tonight, too. National Stadium was built. Later, there were some questions as to how many days the district could use National Stadium, how many days the Nationals had National Stadium, and who had the right to program National Stadium. How can is there any mechanism involved in the agreement to say who has what in black and white? And there's a second question, because I also am looking at this. There's a presumption here, and please tell me if I'm wrong, that everybody in Ward 8 needs a job program. There are some people here who have work experience and have been successful in the workforce and are working in the workforce. And they should be, these people should also be recognized when you're doing the DC Sports and Arena as well. And those are my 2 comments.
Excellent comment, and if we ever came off as presumptuous in assuming that, that's certainly not my experience, and it certainly wasn't my intention. So we wanted to do the jobs training for any incremental opportunities, but by all means, for those who have the opportunity, the expertise now and the experience, we want you to sign up, and we want to make sure, whether that's on the construction side or the operations side, that we make those opportunities available. So on the first point you made, and I had the I want to say privilege is not the right word, the pain, I guess, of, and I say it facetiously. I worked on the construction of the baseball stadium project, and both Eric and I then ran the Sports Entertainment Commission, respectively, as part of that, and we still today, now it's in our portfolio. You're absolutely correct. The way that deal is structured is that the team operates that facility. So the team has all of the rights, basically, to manage that facility and program that. And there was only a few days, whereas we actually have, the city has the opportunity to do some community events. So that deal was structured in a different time, in a different administration, but they thought that is how, frankly, they had to get that deal done to actually get a baseball stadium there. And I will tell you, just from anecdotally, from me remembering what happened back in the day, there were 5 different cities competing for that baseball team. So they probably had to do that deal structured that way. And their bet is that if they made that investment, that all that development would occur around them. And I guess we'll all see if that's true. We see it now starting to happen. But I'm not defending, but I'm just saying that is the structure. To Mr. Rufford's question earlier, this deal is not that deal. We are truly in a partnership where we are sharing with a tenant, but we also are operating the facility, and we're going to have the majority of the dates in that facility. So your point is dead on, but we're happy to say that this is a better structured deal for that purpose. I think we're getting close to wrapping up, but if we have any other questions? I see somebody over there.
I just want to ask briefly, how will the information on the job training programs and also the meetings coming up be broadcasted and advertised so that people can share it out, so that we that's in here can express it to other people and share it and get it out, or, get the information for job training programs to the kids that are in the rec centers and things like that?
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, one of the things we recognize is not everyone is on a blog, not everyone has email, not everyone reads their email. So we look at what we call high tech and high touch. So yeah, we'll still do the email blast, we'll still do the email list, we'll collect everybody's email tonight, for instance, and you'll be on our list. But we also do very traditional things, door-to-door knocks, handing out flyers, standing at bus stops, standing at metro stops, talking to our training partners in the community who may be providing training, to make sure that we reach you, going to schools. So all of those things that you traditionally think about in outreach we'll begin to do, as well as the things that you've heard about tonight. So there'll be a balance.
Sure. Yeah, I think you wanted to comment. Go ahead, sir. Yes, please.
Born and raised in Ward 8, all along Martin Luther King Avenue, I saw the changes. And I'm pro situation, right? And when I
Thank you for that.
When I grew up, going to Ballou, we would have to, as young people, young students, young adults, going to college, UBC or wherever you were going, we would have to navigate Martin Luther King Avenue. And when you navigate Martin Luther King Avenue, it looked like something out of Walking Dead. Unfortunately, some people who, St. Elizabeth, you get the idea, and so we had to deal with that. And young people, to me, this investment is 50 years too late. You understand? Yep. When I grew up, we were privy to what we should not have been as young men. Playing football for number 11, you come out from getting a motivational speech from Coach Mo, and then you got a guy who's foaming at the mouth and in McDonald's bumming for money or accosting a young lady in the parking lot. That's what I grew up seeing. Young men that we're mentoring, young ladies we're mentoring right now in Ward 8, they have a great opportunity to be something great. From Ballou High School, the design, hopefully they change their name, to this campus right here. And I just want to say, I'm in full support of what you're doing, and a firm believer in taking accountability and responsible for your own actions and making a difference. All right, so good luck.
Appreciate you. Thank you. I can't even say anything to that. Thank you for saying that, sir.
Tendani.
Check. Oh no, ladies first.
Tendani, go.
Okay.
Gotta respect my. Go ahead, Tendani.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to Ward 8. Tendani, founder and president of Ward 8 Arts and Culture Council. Live down the street. I can walk to my home. And some of you may have only seen Ward 8 on TV, you know. But now that you're here, I want you to know that since I've been down there, specifically down there for the past 10 years, I've been identifying, finding, organizing, cultivating creative genius from youth and adults in this community. This past summer, we had so many young people that put a camera in their hands, that done media arts, done a lot of different projects. And we got a good 4 or 5 that want to learn AutoCAD, interior design, and things like that. So I'll be connecting with you about that. But it's an immense amount of talent that is in this ward. So I say to Events DC, welcome you to DC as well. My team, welcome you to the community. But right now, we got to start preparing young people for what's going to happen in 2 to 3 years. We have to train them to get the skills. There's a lot of talent here. There are 4.0 students. There are college graduates that are in this community. However, there are some people who may be good with a video camera, but then they may struggle with literacy. And so we got to start working with that right now as a team, as a community, as a city, and as private corporations to make sure we prepare the community right now. Another thing is to the community, media arts. I mean, we can incubate 5 businesses off of this project alone. So when I see this $50 million coming, I'm not talking about can we be a part of it. I'm saying we are and we will be a part of it. It's not a question. This is about how we insert ourselves in the situation. So as far as what we do, when it comes to media arts, when it comes to finance, when it comes to technology, we're here to help facilitate that process. We have a reputation. We got endless photo and video documentation of the work that we do. So if you know any young people or adults that want to get into an entrepreneurial business venture or workforce development, let's connect. We can put you on the mail list right now. Connect, because it's not about what everybody's bringing to our community. It's about how we meet in the middle. So let's not worry about just their plan. Let's make sure when we catch back up, we have a plan. You feel me? Welcome to Ward 8.
One more question.
Final question. Oh, well, then let me do this. Let me say that as a young person, I was so privileged to be a part of conversations about developing Congress Heights. And I want to thank Mary Cuthbert. I don't know where she is. But I want to thank Mary Cuthbert and William Lockridge, he's deceased, of course, Mr. Bunn, and several others, Nate and his wife, Stephanie. There's several people who were very vested. And on top of that, of course, Marion Barry, and I thank former Mayor Vince Gray for this building, and Sheila Bunn for being a part of that decision-making process. One thing I want to say is that we have to make certain that people like ourselves are at the table when decisions are being made. Not where we're coming into events and you're saying you want to engage us in the community, but all of us were at the table when we laid out plans for what we wanted to see. And now we're starting to see a little development. But I know Mary's got to be involved because she's going to. This is her ANC commission. But I'm saying some of us need to be at the table when you're making decisions about what's going to happen in our community. And Denise, Rolock Barnes, she's here. And so there's several people that I think that you need to engage even further, who've been a part of the Ward 8 Democrats, a part of other community civic associations like Monica's in charge of. So I think that needs to happen, 1. 2, I do think there needs to be a youth component where you do engage somehow, some kind of recreation type of opportunities for them. Because Friendship does have the property that's across the street where the Police Boys and Girls Club used to be, unfortunately now, the kids don't have that same outlet. But if they have access from time to time to come into that facility and do some ball games maybe, community-based ball games. I think that would be something fun for them because they'll then be engaged and there's buy-in. So I'd like to be able to come to the table with some of my ideas, and I'd like for a lot of us to be able to come to the table with our ideas. So we're sitting with you, Events DC, to discuss these things. And Tendani, of course, with his arts program, journalism, Denise. There's a lot of things that can happen here.
Thank you for those comments. We agree. And as one of the things I think we heard more tonight than the last meeting we had was about the youth. And it's not that we didn't sense it all along and it wasn't important to us, but it certainly has been a theme with us. And I think you've heard, certainly our commitment both in the programming, but even on the opportunities for jobs. We want to make sure that we do address that, but also we do it with you, to your point that you made. So thank you for saying that. Are there any other questions? We can take a couple more. I just want to make sure. Yes, sir.
With respect to the water tower that's up here, with respect to the water tower that's up here sitting on St. Elizabeth's campus, with the construction that you guys are requiring, would there be any type of effect, because that water system was built to help the pressurized lines that people could not get with respect to the pressure going to their houses, to the residential houses. So I wanted to know, if any, would there be any effect at all? I didn't ask you. And I got that from Mama.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll just add to what the Commissioner said. DC Water will be constructing a new water tower to address the water pressure issues, not just in this neighborhood, but across Ward 8. The water tower, as I understand it, DC Water put out a request for proposals for a contractor. I believe they received bids to construct that facility, and that facility ultimately will be constructed in time for our utilities and the opening of the entertainment sports arena. So the city, Events DC, Monumental Sports, we all need to work very closely with DC Water to make sure that that gets put in place, but they are moving ahead on that.
All right, that's what I wanted to know, but I do want to thank my mama. I know we have a big battle every 5 minutes, but that's my mom, Mary Cuthbert, and I just want to thank her for that.
Wonderful.
I want to thank her for that water tower, because that's something that I worked on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for permitting me a second question. On this East Campus is a homeless shelter for men. And it's been there for almost a decade, right, Mary? Yes. And I think it's unfortunate that the administrators and the residents are never quite interwoven into community life. In many cases, they are seen, but yet they're not in the community's collective consciousness. And considering the fact that no one has said that shelter is going anywhere, there's going to be some interaction with the residents and with people who will be using the arena. I would recommend that at future meetings that an effort be made to invite the administrators of the homeless shelter as well as the residents themselves to see what impact all of this development is going to have on their lives. Because let's be quite honest, yes, they may be in a homeless shelter, but they are still our neighbors. And therefore, it is important to find out exactly how their lives can be uplifted so that they can also share in this development. I had a chance to talk with Ms. Pratt, and I informed her that on the second Saturday of each month, there are Ward 8 Faith Leaders Breakfast Meetings, which are co-sponsored by the Anacostia Coordinating Council, the East of the River Clergy Police Community Partnership, and the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative. And at our last meeting, a number of our faith leaders discussed the possibility of having a meeting at the pavilion hopefully in June, with the men at their homeless shelter so that we can find out how the community can better interact with them so that we all can be better neighbors. Because let's be quite honest about it. There are many of us who are only a paycheck away from homelessness ourselves, and we never know exactly that the lives that we are trying to impact right now may eventually be impacting ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that suggestion. We will work with the city agencies, with Events DC and Monumental Sports to make sure that we do that outreach. I think that is incredibly important, and I appreciate you for bringing that up. I think the city also, we've had some initial conversations with the Department of Health, Department of Behavioral Health, and Mental Health to make sure that we are including the 801 East shelter in the conversations as it relates to the larger discussion about what's happening with the redevelopment of the campus. So I don't have any more specifics on that, but we are moving in that direction and trying to make sure that we're including them in the process.
Good evening. I'm not really sure if my question is for this meeting or the next meeting or the meeting thereafter. But I did want to, first of all, let you all know I'm here since everyone is looking around. I am a Ward 8 resident, and I'm a community activist, organizer, and I first want to shout out the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative because it's because of them that people like myself are able to provide programs and services in this community who are not nonprofit organizers. And so as it pertains to the entertainment and sports arena, and again, I would like to thank Pete for inviting me here, and Shahara from the 11th Street Bridge Project. I am what you would call a cowgirl, okay? So what I know is that here at St. Elizabeth campus, there used to be horse stables here. And there also is Rock Creek Park is the only other horse stables in DC. And that's just like another country for our community. And so my question is, how would this entertainment and sports arena be able to tie in an equestrian arena? Not just a program, but like the Showplace Arena and the Equestrian Center, to me, is an entertainment and sports arena. They have a place where they can do the entertainment, and then they also have a place where they can have equestrian sports. And there is a huge community of what we call black cowboys and cowgirls, but no one in DC is aware of it. So, you know, I've been in communication with Events DC, and they've been great. And they've been trying to figure out spaces on this facility where we could build collapsible arenas, but we would have to take them down every time someone uses them. But that just doesn't really make sense to me, where we can just build an arena and we can offer equestrian sports for our kids in the community. So I don't know if that will be a question for the builders or who, I don't know. So I just wanted to know if it was the right arena, or do I need to come back in 45 days and ask the question again?
So I'm not sure that we can commit to building an equestrian facility, but I will tell you that we, about a week a year at the Verizon Center, have the Washington Horse Show, and would be delighted to try to bring some of that over to this facility as well.
Thank you for all of the tickets to the Washington National Horse Show, but I'm looking to reach my culture of people in this equestrian sport. At the Washington National Horse Show, there are no people of color, and as I mentioned, the cowboy community that I'm affiliated with, I mean, the things that we do it at the Showplace Arena, which is in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Why can't we have something here?
So I will tell you that the reason we have the horse show at the Verizon Center is because of Sheila Johnson, who is very active and who has brought the horse show to the Verizon Center. And we program a week in the fall around the horse show because of her. So I think that there are some, I agree, would love to see more of that, but I'm not sure I agree that this is something that is not, I think this is something that's open to everyone. I think this is something that we do for a variety of reasons, and we do it for Sheila Johnson, who helps run it.
So since I'm going to be the one who's responsible for running the arena once it's open, I'm happy to talk to you about how we might be able to do more in that space. I will tell you it's a niche, and Showplace was built for that specific purpose. The horse show, hopefully you've been. I mean, we give out lots of tickets to it, and it's great, and people should go to that. And I think we could look at stuff. We had conversations, and frankly, I had conversations with Marion Barry about the rodeos, and the black rodeos in particular, and trying to bring those at that time to the Armory, but maybe that's a possibility for the new arena. So I think there's some things that we can do. I will temper expectations by saying that people have things that appeal to them that they like to do. We had one meeting where someone was talking about they wanted us to do something for bike polo games. I've never seen anybody play bike polo, but I'm sure some people feel passionately about it. We'll do what we can to bring the kinds of events that folks in the community will appreciate and will be involved in. But there's going to be a give or take with the level of investment necessary to bring that kind of stuff there and what you can get in terms of return to pay for that investment. So you have my commitment that I'm happy to talk to you about it, and I'm sure Sharon is as well, and it sounds like you guys have been talking already. So we'll do what we can with respect to that and other ideas that people may have, okay?
So I think we want to make sure, and even if you don't have questions, any more questions right now, we gave note cards, or we have note cards available. So what we want to do is make sure we capture as many questions as possible. I will also say that we heard that the council member may still come by just to sit. So we're going to be here. So if you want to come have one-on-one and chat, we're going to be here. We want to see the council member when she's here also. But we thank everybody for coming. What's that? Oh, and we still have food, for which I'm going to get some food. So if you want to talk to me, that's where I'll buy. But thank you so much for coming, everybody, and have a good evening. Be safe tonight, okay?